A legacy of trust, serving Micronesia since 1938. Matson celebrating 25 years of commitment to Guam, Micronesia, and the CNMI. Cars Plus, home of Guam's first and only lifetime powertrain warranty. Visit carsplusguam.com for details. McDonald's of Guam, I'm loving it, and King's Restaurant, serving your local breakfast, lunch, and dinner favorites for over 45 years.
Coming up on Primetime, with the CDC reducing Guam's COVID risk status to level 2, what does this mean for the reopening of Guam as far as tourism? Plus, proposed legislation has been introduced that would create a revolving fund for indigent inmates to avail of proper legal representation. And the 2021 University of Guam Conference on Island Sustainability kicked off today.
Hafid, good evening. I'm Adriana Cotero. Guam's COVID risk status has been lowered to level 2 by the Centers for Disease Control. The governor says it communicates to the country and the world that we are taking control of the virus and paves the way for the reopening of Guam. Nestor Lecanto reports.
The new CDC designation comes amid the administration's push to have 50% of adults vaccinated by next month in order to lift quarantine restrictions on arriving passengers. Visitors Bureau President Carl Gutierrez welcomed the news.
You can feel it in there. It's palpable about how we are really turning we made that turn, and now we're heading towards really almost a sure opening in May 1st.
The CDC also announced this weekend that fully vaccinated adults should be able to travel freely, but it still cautioned against non-essential trips. And the governor said as a precaution, she still intends to require negative PCR tests and the use of contact tracing apps. Meanwhile, GVB Vice President Jerry Perez says they want to market Guam as an entirely separate tourist destination.
Even though politically we are associated with the U.S., and diplomatically, most ministries in Japan and Korea, for example, recognize Guam within the U.S. context. The thing is that we are economically tethered. We're economically tethered to the market nexus of Asia, and that's the message that we need to get across.
But that's just part of the challenge. Officials are also grappling with the fact that while Guam's vaccination rate is rising, that's not the case for our main source markets.
Japan, Korea, and Taiwan have less than 1% of their population vaccinated as of last week. So that's why we're a bit concerned, and that's the dilemma that we face.
In the meantime, GVB has hired a marketing and public relations firm to help drive local awareness and support for the reopening of tourism, now less than a month away. For Guam's News Network, I'm Nestor Lecanto.
Guam hit its highest ever unemployment rate in December 2020, a record 19.4% or 13,850 people out of work. That compares to a 6.1% rate the previous December in 2019. Department of Labor statistics released today show that the largest reductions by industry through September 2020 are in retail at 3,440, hotels at 2,800, and all their services at 1,530. Construction was the only bright spot, with jobs increasing from 7,350 to 83,030 in December. The record decline is blamed on the COVID pandemic, which forced retail outlets and hotels to close or severely curtail operations. In a news release, Labor Director Dave De La Sola said some industries are bouncing back, as the National Dislocated Worker Grant Program has created several hundred new jobs. Governor Lou Leon Guerrero said the economy will improve as restrictions are eased. She said Guam will see the largest impact when the tourism industry returns. It was day 2 of jury selection for Vianney Hosiai. He is one of the 3 men accused of raping a young girl and capturing it on a videotape. He faces first-degree criminal sexual conduct, possession of a child pornography, and dissemination of child pornography. According to our files, back in 2019, detectives were tipped off and found a video circulating social media of the female minor allegedly being raped by 3 men. The suspects had left the island and authorities issued warrants for their return. Hosiai was taken into custody at the airport. Opening statements in his trial are scheduled to begin tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Federal convicted drug offender Audrey Wolford has been given until the end of the week to turn herself in. She has been on supervised release pending her sentencing, which is scheduled for May 20th. but she has repeatedly tested positive for drugs. Wolford pled guilty to drug charges and has indicated that she, along with her co-conspirator, paid protection fees to retired police officer and federal defendant John Boom Mantanotnya. Her attorney, Jeffrey Moot, says she unfortunately fell off the wagon while trying to deal with a back injury and has since been placed on proper medication. Wolford must self-surrender by Friday at 10 a.m. Both parties have agreed to a restitution amount of $4,800 for federal offender Lourdes Blas to pay up to Gov Guam. Last month, Blas was sentenced to a 1-year probation term. She pled guilty to fraud activity connected with computers for participating in an illegal scheme to create and sell several fraudulent driver's licenses while employed at the Department of Rev and Tax. She allegedly received a $300 profit for each fraudulent transaction. She signed off on a stipulation agreeing to pay the restitution amount to DRT and the government of Guam for processing 64 fraudulent Guam driver's license transactions. Defense counsel Jay Arreola asked for another extension for Jerry Thomas Guerrero II's federal trial. However, the court instead set a status hearing 1 month from now. Back in February, a superseding indictment came down on Guerrero, who was a National Guard sergeant, and charged him with production of child pornography, enticement of a minor, and a notice of forfeiture for several electronic devices. Guerrero allegedly enticed a 14-year-old minor to engage in sexually explicit conduct between October 1, 2017 and April 30, 2018. In court today, the defense asked for more time to review new discovery on an additional enticement count, although federal magistrate Judge Heather Kennedy asked both parties to return for a check-in on June 2nd. A bipartisan bill recently introduced by the legislature would create a revolving fund for Indigenous inmates to have adequate access to legal representation, and the Department of Corrections supports this measure. Bill 99 establishes the Infamalic for Inmates Fund that would allow Indigenous inmates to contact their legal counsel free of charge. During the pandemic, visitation privileges were halted and communication was only permitted through telephone. As a result, fees were imposed to add funds to inmates' phone accounts. However, many of those incarcerated are Indigenous, and the PayTel system served as a barrier to acquiring legal representation, explains Department of Corrections spokesperson Major Anton Uggan.
Now, in the system, attorney numbers can be set to do not record, right? So that you have a private conversation. We're not allowed to listen to attorney-client calls. The issue is that some of the inmates don't have, money. They don't have family support, or they don't have a lot of money to put in their phone system. So how do you give them access to their attorney? And who pays for it? That's the next cost. Who should pay for those inmates who don't have the money to pay for their phone calls?
As stated in the bill's language, the phone service provider deposits 15% of net revenues into the government general fund as a condition to doing business within the prison. If made law, this deposit would become an account for Indigenous inmates to communicate with their respective attorneys.
And so we support that. I mean, we all want to give access to the inmates on their attorneys. That's a constitutional right, and we don't want to interfere with that. And but somebody has to pay for it because our phone system is a private company that operates it.
According to Uggan, DOC ran a pilot program with the Public Service Defender Corporation for 2 months, providing all inmates that called the Public Defender Office free access. And for 1 month, that equated to an over $400 payment.
Just to call the alternate public defender. So, it might, cost a couple more. Of course, if we're going to do all attorneys. So we need to figure out, are they intent to, every inmate and detainee, whether they have money or not in their account, should be entitled to the free phone calls.
As stated in the measure, the revolving fund is to be established by the Department of Administration. Committee on Health, Land, Justice, and Culture member Senator Joanne Brown wants to get to the bottom of the allegations of coercion surrounding Chamorro Land Trust Commission Director Jack Haddig.
I certainly believe there should be an oversight hearing. The only way you're going to make these issues not be an issue is that, it sees the light of day and that these questions are asked and answered, and are the answers satisfactory? I think there's an area of concern, otherwise I wouldn't raise it. Especially listening to the comments of that land agent publicly, these statements that were made publicly are concerning to me as a member of the legislature and a member of the committee.
As reported, allegations arose after a land agent accused Haddock of coercing her to request for a transfer of application rights from one constituent to another, despite the Commission's rules and a former Attorney General's opinion that bars the action unless the initial applicant is deceased. Department of Rev and Tax and the Department of Administration will be mailing out or direct depositing 2,054 tax refund checks this week, totaling a little over $6.7 million. These include refunds that were garnished to repay GovGuam debts. These are for air-free returns filed on or before February 12th of this year. Stick around for more news here on Primetime. You're watching KUAM.
The Guam Women's Chamber of Commerce presents Fanatsu Famalawan, Women Rising, on Thursday, April 8th. This virtual conference will reach you wherever you are, featuring international experts and thought leaders sharing their stories. Experience on-demand sessions, masterclasses, and conversations to inspire and empower. Register today. Fanatsu Famalawan, Inspiring Innovation, April 8th at GuamWomen'sChamber.com. Special thanks to our change agents and our other community partners.
Social distancing may be the new norm, but connection will always be our tradition. Through good times and tough times, we remain connected with you. Masks may be the new fashion, but protection will always be our style. You can always count on us to protect the things that matter the most. Sanitizing may be the new routine, but caring will always be our practice. We care about your loved ones and the things you value the most. And as we welcome our new normal, one thing remains certain: we will always be here for you. We're open and ready to serve you. Calvo's Insurance, a legacy of trust.
You can't test this.
Introducing the new contactless debit card from Bank of Hawaii.
You can't test this.
For a safer and faster way to pay.
You can't test this.
Just tap, pay, and be on your way. It's that easy. And we're the only local bank that will be mailing a new contactless card to every debit card holder. Because when it comes to our commitment to helping you bank safely, as the song says, you can't touch this. Bank of Hawaii, welcome to tomorrow.
You can't test this.
KUAM News, winner of the 2020 Regional Edward R. Murrow Award for Excellence in Social Media.
Welcome back. Voter turnout for the pandemic-plagued 2020 midterm elections was the lowest ever at less than 40%. And while the drop may have had a lot to do with health concerns over the virus, Election Commission Director Maria Pangilinan says what it also showed was that voters are supportive of early balloting. The eligibility criteria was relaxed last year to accommodate the need for social distancing. It resulted in a big spike in pre-election day ballot casting.
For the general election, we had over 13,000 people show up for early voting. So we wonder if the senators will, what we're going to do about it for the 2022 and upcoming elections. Because in the books right now, in the law books right now, if you want to vote early, you have to have an excuse.
She says in past election years, they only averaged about 1,000 early voters. She says early voting would make it more convenient for voters and would probably increase the turnout. The goal is to further increase transparency. Bill 102 would require that GovGuam agency meetings be broadcast or streamed online. According to Senator Joanne Brown, the COVID pandemic has shown that we are able to use technology to continue communications, citing as an example the legislature being able to hold virtual public hearings.
So there's no reason that when we have a board or commission in this government now that are meeting, that they cannot have that being aired or, through the social process here of Zoom and other things to ensure that the public, if they're not able to physically attend the meeting, they can simply get online and they know.
Bill 102 would also require GovGuam agencies publish a detailed agenda on the required public meeting notices. The bipartisan measure was introduced by Senators Brown, Therese Terlahi, and Telo Taitigui. Instead of being appointed by the governor, Senator James Moylan is hoping to have members of the Guam's Ethics Commission be elected instead. The Republican lawmaker contends this will ensure an independent body is in place.
People that are interested in properly seeing our government function and to protect, to do what's right, they would want to run. And they would have to do like every elected official, submit in their application and make sure there no felony crimes and then campaign for the votes.
Not only does the governor have the power to appoint members to the Ethics Commission, but also to remove and suspend them. According to the bill, the first election for the Ethics Commission will be held next November. A bill to expand ethics training to all Government of Guam employees underwent a public hearing today. The measure by Senator Sabina Perez requires new hires to take the courses within 6 months of onboarding and then refresher training every 4 years after that. Currently, only unclassified employees and board and commission members have to complete the ethics courses. Public Auditor B.J. Cruz said his office recently reviewed the compliance.
We found that there was no one entity that was monitoring if they took the training or not. In fact, we found that some directors and board members were not aware of the ethics training requirement and scrambled to take the training by the date that we requested the certificates, that it be submitted to the Ethics Commission.
He suggested the Ethics Commissions be taped to monitor compliance. Under the bill, the Ethics Commission or its approved designee would also be responsible for the training. A tax rebate for PPEs, or the governor can just use money from the $660 million plus she's getting from the American Rescue Plan. Senator Frank Blas Jr. is hoping for the latter and has written the governor requesting specifically that. Last month, he, along with Vice Speaker Tina Muñoz Barnes and Senator Chris Dueñas, introduced Bill 70 to provide a $500 tax rebate for families having to foot the bill for personal protective equipment to comply with public health requirements. Senator Blas is willing to forego the bill if the governor agrees to implement a program to provide relief for PPE purchases. The University of Guam's Conference on Island Sustainability theme this year is Islands Are Rising. The focus is under the weight of biodiversity loss, rising seas, debilitating storms, and human illness. Islands continue to be resilient and rise above. Tyler Matsunani reports on the first day of the 12th annual CIS.
This year's Conference on Island Sustainability was kicked off by Nicole Yamasi, the first Pacific Islander to explore the deepest part of the ocean, the Marianas Trench, followed by Craig McLean, Chief Scientist for the Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, CIS Director Dr. Austin Shelton.
They offered some really great insights and our participants really loved to hear what they had to say about the future of ocean science. It was connected to this United Nations Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development.
Additionally, nearly 200 people tuned into the biannual meeting for the Guam Green Growth to learn about the updates on Guam's progress towards the UN's Sustainable Development Goals. Tomorrow's conference will be kicked off by co-chairs Governor Lou Leon Guerrero and UOG President Dr. Thomas Kreis.
We will have panelists from the Caribbean, from Hawaii, from islands in Europe on the following panel. And then Lieutenant Governor Joshua Tenorio will moderate a panel with the Lieutenant Governor of Hawaii, Josh Green, and the Lieutenant Governor of the U.S. Virgin Islands, Tregenza Roach, followed by some people taking action on sustainability for human society issues.
Thursday's conference will feature a signature facet, CIS Seed Talks, ideas worth cultivating.
They're kind of like TED Talks, but what's really cool about this is that we have a formal partnership now with the Obama Foundation, which is a nonpartisan nonprofit organization run by former President Barack Obama.
The former president's sister, Dr. Maya Satora, will join as the moderator for the event. Those interested in the virtual conference can register online at uog.edu/CIS 2021. General admission is $20 and students are $10. Reporting for Guam's News Network, I'm Tyler Matsunani.
The folks from the Thrive Coalition under WestCare, which focus on substance abuse prevention within Dededo's youth, will host a community cleanup this Saturday. Thrive's Kathleen Uggan explains how keeping a clean neighborhood paves the way for stronger communities.
When a neighborhood has dilapidated buildings or if there's just, not clean sidewalks, it really kind of disrupts the residents and the families from connecting each other and really creating that connection and strengthening that connection to even intervene and prevent the development of substance use in the neighborhood.
Again, the cleanup is this Saturday from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the Sagan Lina Heights Park in Dededo. This is an open event. However, Dededo residents are highly encouraged to be part of the community cleanup. Coming up, Dave Delgado has your local sports recap.
Your community calendar is brought to you by Taco Bell. Whether it's your first meal or your fourth meal, we've got you covered. Taco Bell, live Mas.
We don't want to overhype the return of the quesalupa from Taco Bell, so we're skipping all the fanfare.
Oh, man.
We'll just tell you, the quesalupa's cheese stuffed shell is back, and we think you'll like it.
Mobile offers a new and convenient way to fuel your vehicle. Pay gas and go. No need to line up inside the store. Press preset. Enter whole dollar amount without decimals. Press loyalty ID and enter your mobile number or insert Smiles card. Insert and remove payment card or tap contactless credit card. Begin fueling. And don't forget to grab your receipt. Pay gas and go. It's that easy.
What's up, Guam? Dave Delgado here for KUAM Sports. Thanks for watching. Tonight on the show, we're going to hear from GNOC President Rick Blas on Raquel Aquino's most recent performance in Tunisia. Check it out.
Historically, it's the first female to actually qualify for the Olympic Games. And that's a testament to the program that is being basically run by her coaches and the leadership of the federation. You know, I mean, we come from a very small NOC, but we try to really strive to try to get our athletes qualified. I think this is the same position that we've taken since 2000 after the Sydney Olympic Games, that we no longer just want to try to go for invitation slots. We want to actually try to qualify our athletes. We put the onus on the National Federation to set the standards. And as you know, that, you know, previously we had issues back in the 2000 Sydney Games, the 2004 Athens game, where federations had set a standard and it was their failure to hold accountable their members. So we try to always try to strive to better the opportunity for these athletes. But I think one of the best results is to really try to get athletes to qualify and not send athletes to go and do their personal best. They have to look beyond personal best. They have to really seriously take the opportunity given by the Olympic movement, especially here in Guam. The chances to qualify is far better than the bigger countries, because then their pool of competition is far greater than ours. But all the same, the region is given certain allowances by both the IOC and the International Federation. So, you know, the fact that we actually have 2 athletes qualified at the moment. We're hoping that the 3rd athlete would qualify at the Bulgaria championship for wrestling, which is Raquel's sister. But she's in a tougher division, you know, and we're hoping that with the effort that she's shown in Tunisia and how she performs in Bulgaria would consider a tripart commission consideration that will also put her on the roster.
Mr. Blas also wanted to acknowledge the late Mike Reedy, the founding father of the Guam Olympic movement, to also acknowledge the contributions to being the first president of our Olympic Committee under Guam Amateur Sports Federation. He says public comment should be accurate to pay testament to his work in getting Guam recognized as an Olympic country and what roles he has played in the sporting community.
Mike Reedy, having passed away, everything that we're doing today is basically a testament to his leadership by when he moved our application to be considered before the IOC. And many of what we've done today, many of the changes we established was a result of that initial push for Guam to be recognized as an Olympic country. But also for the record, I think it's very important just to be on record that Mike, at the time of the application, was the president of the Guam Amateur Sports Federation. And for the record, again, was recognized by the IOC as such. And I just wanted to clarify that because I don't want to get involved with all these other comments that are out in the public. But it has to be based on facts to make sure that we recognize Mike's contribution to the Olympic movement and how it all started. And it started under the Guam Amateur Sports Federation. So I just wanted to say that and acknowledge all the contribution that Mike has contributed to Guam sports movement and as president of the first Olympic committee under GASF.
And in today's NCAA Men's National Basketball Championship game, it was Baylor upsetting Gonzaga for this year's title. Well, that's going to do it for sports. We're back right after this.
Want a real taste of New York? The Big New Yorker is back with a big, bold taste and a sweet marinara sauce on a crust that's 30% larger than our large. Handmade to perfection. It's just $9.99 per carryout. The Big New Yorker, only at your island Pizza Hut.
Guam's auto appearance specialist, Elegant Reflections, has been providing the automotive industry with professional detailing and car care products at its highest quality, from complete detailing, full interior detailing, exterior detailing, headlamp restoration, hand washing, seat and carpet shampoo, engine degreasing, undercarriage cleaning, paint sealant, fabric protection, paint oxidation removal, and so much more. Visit us at our new location. Call 646-5555 for an appointment. Elegant Reflections, Guam's auto appearance specialist, over 20 years of experience.
We get it. Living to the fullest is tough during COVID-19. You don't need to do it alone, and everyone needs a hand right now. We are here. Feeling overwhelmed? Call 647-8833 and let's talk. Mangagihem is a project of Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center.
Whether you use your truck for work or play, you can count on Ram trucks. Built to deliver today and built to deliver for many years to come. Here at Cars Plus, it is Ram Truck Month, where you can get the best deal on a new Ram 1500 starting at a new low price of $31,995. You can call us at 477-7807 or visit our website at carsplusguam.com to schedule your test drive today.
And before we close out the news tonight, our latest round of birthday shout-outs from the Cold Stone Creamery Birthday Club.
On this April 6th, we all say, and join with me now, get ready. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Happy birthday to Tara Lalick. Happy birthday, Tara Stephanie. Stay safe, pretty, and lovely. We love you. Say daddy, mommy, and kuya. Also, happy birthday to the sweetest mom in the world, Esther Aloka. Never have we been more grateful to have a wonderful woman like you to call our mom. Thank you for all that you do. We love you, says your adoring familia. So, to Tara and to Esther, all your friends and family, which include us at KUAM, are wishing the both of you the happiest birthday ever.
That's going to do it for us here on Prime Time. Thank you for watching. Have a good night and be safe.
Coffee, everybody. I'm Sabrina Salas Matanani. Welcome to Help Home and